And now, a word from
Infirmary Media.
It's time for Blumpkin and Friends, starring your host, the Reverend Johnny Blumpkin.
Are you fucking kidding me?
Hey kids, I'm the Reverend Johnny Blumpkin, and with me here today is my friend. Say your name. Say it. Nobody can see you wave, baby. Little Bug, you're on Daddy's show, Blumpkin and Friends. That is my infant daughter. She is 1 year old. And for lack of another guest, I'm like, hey, let's try something a little crazy. Let's put a baby on. So there's a baby on. And she's not going to talk much. But, Little Bug, I'm going to tell you stories. Can I tell you stories? You got Baba? Well, I'm just going to get right into it, okay? First things first. I met your mom when I was 18. And she was 17. And we had sex. When we were teenagers, I banged your mom. And I thought, wow, what beautiful tits. And what a very wet downstairs she had. It was very supple, very moist, very pliable. These are words you don't know the meaning of. What do you think?
Wow.
Yeah, I don't actually see a ball, but whatever. Here's another secret. Can I tell you a secret? Guess what?
No.
Guess what?
Wow.
Guess what? You were an accident.
Wow.
Yep, didn't even try. Here's the setup. Your mom and I were watching the movie Let's Go to Prison. Now, I know what you're thinking. Netflix and chill? Really, Daddy? But it was a movie that just happened to be on there, and that's what I was in the mood to see because Daddy was working at a jail at that time. And I also found that movie humorous. And honestly, the last time I watched it, I totally got laid then too. So it's like a fucking tradition. When I watch Let's Go to Prison, I gotta get laid. That's called tradition. I want you to remember that word, tradition. Let's Go to Prison comes on. Daddy gets his D wet. And I just started... Will you stop kicking the fucking desk? So, I want you to realize that I respect your mother and I don't treat her like a hussy. And I waited till at least a third of the movie was over before I tried to even do anything with her. And because I'm a romantic, I went right to rubbing her shoulders. So I could very sneakishly go right to rubbing her tits, which is what I did. And then I played with her hoo-ha, and then I did some finger stuff, and then we were doing each other. That's how that works. Don't ever do any of that until you're like 50 or I'm dead. Or you will break my heart and I will die. Okay? Now, you may be asking yourself, Daddy, at no point during that story did I hear you say that you stopped to put on a condom. And you would be right, because I didn't. Because I normally don't. Because that's stupid. Because it doesn't feel good. All right? You wouldn't go to the movies and put a paper bag over your face, and you wouldn't put a Ziploc baggie over your tongue to eat a steak. So why would you put a little fucking suffocation sleeve over your cock when you're going to go in one of the most glorious, fun-feeling places on all the planet? Doing it raw dog is the shit. And if you ever do that, I will die of a broken heart. Never let anybody talk you into that. I don't care how convincing they are. Do the opposite. Never have unprotected sex. Ever. So anyways, so I was doing your mom, and funny thing, the bedroom door opened.
Uh-oh.
I know. And guess who came in? Guess who came in? Sissy. And she goes, "What are you doing?" And Mommy had to tell a lie and say that I was rubbing her back, when in actuality, I was inside of her. from behind, but laying on our sides. And then she told Sissy to go upstairs and she'd come up and see her in a few minutes. So fast forward to the ending of that. And I was thinking that I should probably pull out just to be safe. Just because it was probably an unintelligent endeavor just to recklessly spray my seed inside of her. So what I did was the smart thing. I left it in because it felt nice. It felt way better. Totally feels way better if you leave it in when you're going to come. These are facts, but don't let anybody do that to you because I will murder them in their sleep. I will wait for them to fall asleep, and I will go straight Scary Terry on their ass. And I'll sneak into their room with a pinking shears to stab them in the face, and I'll go, "Rise and shine, bitch!" Yeah, because he says the B word a lot. Anyways, so the next day, Mommy was driving Sissy to school, and she was curious, and she goes, "Why were you breathing like that last night?" And what did you tell her?
What?
When she asked why you were breathing funny.
Rubbing my back.
No, that was when she caught us during. I mean the next day on the ride to school.
What?
On the next day on the ride to school, she asked you why you were breathing funny last night.
Said you were rubbing my back.
That's the greatest thing you come up with was just a repeat of the night prior's excuse?
She didn't ask me the night before, did she?
Dude, she fucking did while we were in mid-coitus.
Well, that was the answer.
Well, clearly Daddy remembers this better than Mommy does. It's okay. Daddy's got a better memory. Yes, I know. I have a better memory than Mommy. Yep. Daddy's smart. He remembers contextual details very distinctly. So then, funny story. Then, Daddy was dating this other girl, and Mommy told me that she was pregnant. And I was like, uh-oh. I know. I don't know what it is. But even with birth control, I'm like that 0.1% that totally smashes right through all that shit. My swimmers are strong and virile. They're like Aquaman. I have like Aquaman sperms. They're really powerful and they're extra powerful under the water. How's that bottle coming? Anyways, so then let's just fast forward to the day you were born. Anyway, so we're at the hospital and Mommy's laying on the bed because she's having contractions. Do you know what contractions are? They're like earthquakes in your birth canal. It's like a rumbling and a tumbling and a shaking and muscles are all like, holy shit, something way too big for this hole is about to come shooting out of it. That's a thing. That's real. It hurts. It's like something with a head the size of a grapefruit comes out of a hole that's meant for something the size of like a lime. Yeah. Yeah, there is tearing. Anyway, so we get to the hospital, and we're sitting there waiting, and I was hungry, and your mom's like, oh, well, run and grab something to eat. So I did, because this was, in fact, the third time that I had gone for the birthing of one of my children at that same hospital. So I pretty much knew the lay of the land, and I knew how the time frames worked out. And you weren't a scheduled C-section or a surprise C-section like the juice. So I was just like, fuck it, I'm going to go down the street. So I went down to Subway, and I got myself a meatball sub, which was fucking delicious, by the way. Yeah. And then I went back to the hospital, and then we waited around, and contractions. This shit went on for hours. And then we were watching Rick and Morty on Cartoon Network to kill the time. And then I was like, you know what, fuck it, I'm tired. I'm going to try to lay down and get some sleep. You know, if something comes up, wake me. I was trying to sleep on the couch in the room, and Mommy was laying in the bed. And I had just laid down with my earplugs in, and I was really trying to fall asleep. Do you want to tell the story? You don't know what happened. You weren't even in the room yet. Jesus Christ. And I'm barely falling asleep, and then here's your mom. Ow, 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 oh God, ow, ow. And then she, yells my name at me and get the nurse. And then I pretended to be asleep. She's like, get the nurse. I'm like, fuck. Fine. Now, I didn't say that out loud because I'd been through this before. It was not my first lap around the track. So I stood up and I paged the nurse and I said, hey, she's having some pretty bad contractions in here. You might want to come in and just check, would you? And they did. And then the lady came in and she moved the blanket and then she lifted the hospital gown and looked at your mom's vagina. Not much differently than I normally do when she's in bed while she's sleeping. And she goes, well, we're having a baby, because I think that mommy's hole was dilating and possibly your head was sticking out. I don't know. I didn't look because I didn't want to have this weird phobia of your mom's cooch for the rest of my life, that it was going to unhinge like the jaw of a Venus flytrap and swallow me whole. Because there's a certain level of guilt that comes with devastating a woman's downstairs like that, knowing that it's pretty much my fault. I mean, you did the work, but I facilitated it. Yeah. Anyway, so then like a team of 4 people came in, and they were holding mommy's legs open in the stirrups and getting the blanket ready and some towels and a bedpan. And then you shot out very rapidly. I wouldn't quite call it a violent birth, but it was pretty much like the 100-meter dash. It was over so goddamn fast. Like time-wise to the T. We're talking, you came out like Usain Bolt, and I'm pretty sure your mom's downstairs looked like the mouth of Predator when it unmasks itself and roars at Arnold Schwarzenegger in the 1987 movie Predator. And then Arnold goes, you are one ugly motherfucker. And I basically just had my head buried in mommy's shoulders while I was holding her hand while you were shooting out of her, because I didn't want to see you and start crying, but also because I felt guilty about the pain that your mom was going through and that you were going to have to live in the shitty world. That sucks. Pretty much sucks. You don't know it because you're not cognizant of that fact. You're not fully aware. Life outside these walls, pretty shitty. A lot of stuff. And then you came out, and then they let us hold you. And then I used my flip phone. I used my flip phone to take pictures of the afterbirth. Can you say afterbirth? I know, we probably should have saved it and had it made into pills. Like a workout supplement. I could have sold that shit outside of GNC in the parking lot. Black market style from a trench coat. What do you think of that? And then you know what happened? And then we called Grandma and Grandpa and Auntie and Sissy. And they came to the hospital. And then Sissy kept holding you and kissing you and cuddling you. I know, she never fucking puts you down. She never leaves you alone. And that's why you screech like that. That's why you sound like somebody gave methamphetamine to a goddamn parakeet. Because you have such strong emotions about people being in your bubble. Here's a pacifier. Put it in your mouth. Don't you sass me. Don't you throw that goddamn thing. Did you enjoy the story? I said you were an accident. I wasn't lying. Your mom and I made you without even trying. Watching a movie, the mood struck. We did what we always do and started to fuck. Just cuddled up in bed without any clothes. Got her from behind, had her knees to elbows. Grabbing on her hips, kissing her neck. Pussy making squishy sounds and her nipples erect. See, your dear old dad kinda likes to gamble. Known for blowing mad loads and leaving wombs in shambles. Got swimmers like Phelps, gold medal level. My shit is so potent it makes ovums tremble. Mommy took her special pill so you shouldn't have happened. But never say never when crotches start slapping. Even said it to myself, don't knock her up again when it gets my better judgment and left it in. That's how we got you. That's how we got you. That's how we got you. That's how we got
One
you.
hasty decision, that's all it takes. An ounce of magic fluid and our lives will change. If that doesn't make sense, then I'll break it down and explain. Making babies like WikiHow. See, daddy said dicks and mommy said pussies. During foreplay, daddy gets mommy juicy. You take the sex glands, pelvises get thrusted. Bam, 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 till a nut gets busted. I'll explain the next part in actual terms. Semen comes out and it's full of sperms. They move towards the cervix down Fallopian Road. And when they reach each other, you get a zygote. Then for 9 long months, a baby grows inside. There's panic and stress. Well, daddy's dreams die. They go to the hospital and the mommy screams. Well, their cooter explodes. You did this to me! That's how we got you. 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 I don't know what I would do without little bugaboo. You weren't planned and that is true, but I will always love you. Don't you ever question if I'm happy that you're my kid. One lesson I've learned in life, some mistakes turn out alright.
You're listening to Blumpkin and Friends.
Prepare to be entertained in story form. Because the Reverend Johnny Blumpkin is talking about feces. It's time for the Poop Chronicles. Well, thank you for being on the first edition of a bit that spawned from episodes of my other show. It's called the Poop Chronicles. Can you say poo-poos? Poo-poos. Poo-poos. Okay, so here's a story. Now, you fucking shut up and listen. Don't interrupt me. Nobody wants to hear about what you're thinking right now. You're one, and you're a woman, so nobody cares about your feelings. So when I was 5, I was sitting on the swing set in the backyard. And I was playing and having a good time. And the neighbor kid was over, and we were having a good time on my Smurf swing set, which was not white and blue. It was actually white and brown and orange and yellow. I don't get the color scheme myself, but Kmart. Don't yawn. This is an exciting story. We haven't gotten there yet. I'm not even attempting to get close to the denouement as of yet. And then my friend had to go home for dinner. And then Papa called me in for dinner, but I didn't want to go inside. So I kept swinging. But then I had to go poo-poos. You say poo-poos? So I sat there and I just kept like swinging and swinging and swinging until I couldn't hold it anymore. And then I clenched my cheeks and tried to hold it in. But then I realized I couldn't hold it in. Because at 5, I didn't have the skills yet. I didn't have the rectal tensility to keep that massive turd in there. So I had the bright idea that I was going to poop behind the shed that was right next to my swing set. And I knew that I'd be fine because some kid on the school bus, which is an excellent source of information, by the way, he told me that you can just wipe your butt with leaves. So if you poop outside, wipe your butt with leaves. But make sure it's not poison ivy, because then you'll have an itchy butt. Yeah, it hurts. So I took a giant shit behind the shed, and then I wiped my butt with leaves. I went on the swing some more, and then I went inside. And I came back outside to check for my poop. And there it was, and I laughed about it. And then I went inside and had dinner. Then I went back outside to find my poop again. And for some reason, I couldn't find it.
What?
So I went walking back to the front of the house where Papa was in the garage. And we were standing there, and he asked me what that smell was, because something smelled like poop. So I told him that I went poop behind the shed. And then he asked me, what do you mean? So I told him, again, I went poop behind the shed, and I explained the situation. And he's like, you need to show me. So we did. We went in the backyard again, and I showed him where the poop was. But here's the problem. I'm like, I tried to find it again, but I couldn't find it. And that's when a light bulb went off in his head. He asked to see the bottom of my shoes, which were not just any shoes. These were my good Sunday church shoes, so they were dressy and fancy and expensive, I was told. And on the bottom of my shoe was some shit, because I had stepped in it. I had gone back to look at the scene of the crime one too many times, as people that are sadists tend to do.
that get kind of a rush out of the killing. It's called a thrill kill. So I went back to see the poo-poos one too many times. And I had stepped in the poo-poos. And Papa goes, "What were you doing? Why did you step in your poop?" And I don't know what I said, but I'm pretty sure it was something like, I don't know, it was an accident. Because obviously nobody intends to step in their own shit with their church shoes. What a dumb fucking question that was. Plus, I was 5. None of that should have been outside the realm of possibilities. I don't know what he was thinking. Yeah, he was only 32 years old at the time. This was 1987. Motherfucker should have known better. Anyway, so he had to use the hose to clean the poop off my church shoes, and I never took a shit outside again like that. Lesson learned. Okay, so moral of that story is if you have to poop, go inside and poop. Don't wait. Don't wait to hold your shit as long as you can because you think it's going to stay inside your body, because it won't. And it's not going to wait for you to finish doing what you're doing, like playing on the swings, or watching Double Dare, or playing Super Mario Bros. 3, or riding home from a Timberwolves game, which are all stories I will tell in future editions of The Poop Chronicles.
What up, Ninja? You're listening to Blumpkin and Friends.
It's time for another good idea, bad idea with your friend Ernie. Good idea. Using a bath bomb when you're in the tub so that you can have a relaxing bubble bath. Doesn't that sound nice there, Rubber Ducky? Whoops, I farted in the tub and I made brown bubbles. Bad idea. Using bath salts. And in the middle of the night you go off all kilter and you end up eating your roommate's face. Tastes like pigeon. Sorry about that, old buddy Bert. Good idea. Getting an apartment with your best friend. Bad idea. Not defining your relationship for decades so that speculation runs wild for so long that a gay man comes to call your shot for you because he's sick of being asked about it and just so happens to be seeking validation. I mean, we're Muppets. We don't even have dicks.
We've reached the point in the show where it's time to play a game.
Mimigus, the RPS challenge.
Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, children of all ages, Blumpkin and Friends proudly brings to you the Rock, Paper, Scissors Intercontinental Championship Challenge Championship of the World! The following match is scheduled for one fall and is an RPS rematch. Best of 5 hands. In this corner, with an overall record of 1 win and 2 losses, Chi-Chi. You say hi.
Hi, I'm a Chi-Chi.
And the challenger looking to establish dominance once again because she's kind of a Bia, with an overall record of 15 wins and 14 losses, the Juice. You understand the rules, Chi-Chi?
Yeah.
She already gave me her hands upstairs, so I have the Juice's hands. So you're going to say your hands, and you're not going to try to look, because I can already see you trying to look over here, you fucking cheater. So now I'm using my hand so you can't fucking see what she picked.
Yeah, that's what we do on our spelling test.
Yeah. Anyways, enough bullshit. Can we get to the matter at hand?
Yes, you can.
We don't have a ring bell. We have a pen, so...
What?
Hand number 1.
Rock.
You picked a rock, she picked a paper. 1 point for the Juice. Hand number 2.
Paper.
You picked a paper. She picked a scissors. 2 points for the Juice.
You are totally gonna lose this.
Remember to point your fucking mouth towards the microphone, shitbird.
Okay.
Hand number 3.
rock.
You picked a rock. She picked a rock. That is a tie. No point. So now you have to run the table. You have to get the next two just to tie to put it into overtime for a chance to win. So if you don't get the next hand, you automatically lose. But then we will play it out, and then you can go upstairs and continue crying like you were the last half an hour over not wanting to eat a half a fucking peanut butter and jelly sandwich.
No, I didn't. Don't say that.
Hand number 4.
Paper.
You picked a paper. She picked a paper. You lose again. But we still have to play one more hand. Hand number 5.
Rock.
You picked a rock. She picked a rock.
Oh no.
So the juice wins 2 points to no points after 3 straight ties. And she whipped you like a red-headed bastard stepchild again.
You lose.
And now, Jeremy Irons raps.
Daddy's little baby must learn this world is shady. And the stink in your pants don't make you less of a lady. Degrade yourself? Never. Because I'm teaching you better. Life ain't all about cheddar, diamonds, and leather. Understand your little sister, in this big kid world. Don't let it get ya down, girl.
That was Jeremy Irons raps. Interact with the show on Twitter at Blumpkin Show. That is at Blumpkin Show. You can find us on Facebook at facebook.com/group/Blumpkin. And friends, we are now on iTunes. We are also on Podbean at blumpkinshow.podbean.com. I'm the Reverend Johnny Blumpkin. Say I. What are you, a fucking sailor? Aye. Say bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Good night.
Bye.